Joe was saying he can't breathe, he's about to lose consciousness, and his eyes are closing up, which was very concerning. I was like, I hope he doesn't die here. I hadn't seen him like that before. And his eyes were closing, and he was like, I can't breathe. My throat seems to be closing up. And this is all happening while the guy is transferring him to the hospital bed, basically.
I'm just having a birthday celebration with someone. Can you guess who it is? Anticipation, anticipation. It's sushi. There's a hand, hair, and ta-da! Say something, Aurora.
Sushi's good.
С днем рождения, Aurora! С днем рождения, Aurora! С днем рождения, Aurora! С днем рождения, Aurora!
Спасибо, ну все. In case he wants to use this one of his YouTube videos. Right now, Joe is in the hospital. That's it.
Alright, hello everybody. I guess I'll be telling the story of Joe's hospital adventure through my eyes, because that's what I've been asked to do.
I'm sitting here doing my homework. Let's see, what else? There's a window. There's a chair. There's a second bed. But we're not allowed to lay on it because it's for a second patient in case someone comes in. I don't want to wake him up, so I'm going to be quiet. Goodbye.
I got up at 6 a.m. and returned back home at about 11 p.m. I didn't know that anyone was sick. Apparently Joe was feeling pretty sick, I was told by my mother.
It's okay if you don't look good.
Well, to a point.
Mm-hmm.
For a few hours I just hung out and hoped that it would just went on doing my things, hoping that he would get better, but no.
So there's my connection for them to keep giving me stuff. And there's Aurora. Or you can look at me. It's just me. It's not the needle.
I know you're talking about the needle.
I'm not talking about it anymore.
And be worse, and now I'm thinking about it, so I can't look at you.
And she has been very helpful. She's my assistant, doing her work and here getting whatever I need.
So I called the ambulance. I told them the location, who's sick, what's up, and in about 20 minutes they showed up. It was a guy, the main doctor, I guess, and a nurse. And he went into the room, looked at Joe, asked him to do some things in his stomach, felt around his stomach, asked if it hurts, you know, the normal doctor stuff. And then they put like little clamps on him to measure his heart rate or something. I'm not sure what they were measuring. It was like this diagram thingy that you would see in a hospital. And they gave him a shot and they recommended him go to the hospital.
So apparently this is just a regular hospital, nothing standard, just a state hospital. So this would be a good look at just regular medical care here in Moscow.
Was the best candidate to go with him to the hospital to make sure all the translation stuff goes right. So that's when I ended up doing. I packed my bag and thinking I was going to be there for a few hours. And we went off. So after they gave Joe his shot in the ambulance, he so that his hands were starting to itch, and so were his feet. And yeah, I didn't think much of it. The doctor said that it was probably he was having an allergic reaction to the medicine, and that he should warn other doctors in the future that he has an allergy to that painkiller.
So apparently I ate like ground meat and dark rice, no alcohol, nothing weird, like 8:30 with Christoph and Maxime yesterday. And about 10 o'clock I had this dull pain in my stomach, and it wouldn't go away, and it was pretty bad. I could only sit up straight or stand, not feel very terrible. It was definitely an ill, nauseous sickness in my stomach, and I tried to deal with it. Sveta was like, should I call the ambulance? I was like, no, I don't want to inconvenience anyone. And I was sort of stable for about another hour. And then I guess maybe around 2 o'clock in the morning, it got worse. I could not sleep. Now in America, you would have someone drag you to an emergency room or hospital in the middle of the night. You can call an ambulance, but you're going to get a bill for a few $1,000s, depending on how much your insurance covers. But here it is standard. If you get ill, they send an ambulance to you and they check you out in your bedroom. And so that's what they did.
And they decide whether or not you're well enough to stay home or if you have to go to the hospital.
Yes, exactly. They hook this into my arm. They put suction cups all over my chest, all on my bed. And they couldn't figure out on the spot what the problem might be. So then they suggested that they take me to the hospital.
We get to the hospital, they signed us in, I gave him my passport, and we were told that he was going to do all the normal checkup stuff for when a person shows up to the hospital and it does not look to be visibly dying. So he went through all the rooms. The first room they didn't let me go into, which they gave him, I know they shot in, but all the other ones I went in and helped translations.
Alex came with me in the ambulance. It was like an ambulance you'd see in any movie, except there are Russian letters everywhere. But that's okay, because Alex can speak fluent Russian, and I cannot. And they took us here, about a 20-minute drive. I'm in the ambulance bed, bouncing around, feeling sick. And then we came to this hospital.
Was this your first time in an ambulance?
It was, actually, yes. Never before was I in an American ambulance, because I'm not paying for that. Yeah, so they gave me painkillers, so I felt a little bit better. But then unfortunately, I personally had an allergic reaction to the painkiller. And it wasn't too bad. I was just feeling itchy on my hands, on my head, and on my feet. And I looked and I was turning pink on my hands and I was getting little spots. So they gave me a shot of something else to, take away the bad reaction. And it did, it worked. And, luckily Alex was with me because I couldn't understand what anyone was saying. But at one point they took me into a room without him, and they were laying me on a bed and, you know, opening things on a table I couldn't see and putting out like a metal pan, and I was thinking, uh-oh, I hope they're not about to cut me open. I could smell chemicals for cleaning things up. But it was nothing. They just gave me a few more shots in my bottom, and that one of them hurt, man. Not like a knife. It was just like a dull pain. Like my muscle was tight for a while, then I was like, I could not stay awake, because, you know, by now it's past 3 o'clock. You know, my body's trying to fall asleep, and it can't, because it's just in misery.
And after about 20 minutes, Joe said that his stomach was starting to hurt again. So he sat down in a more comfortable position for him, which is like on the ground, praying sort of thing. It would made his stomach feel the least awful. Somebody came by and asked, is everything okay? And I was like, yeah, the painkiller's just wearing off. And then after a few passed by, they were like, all right, we're gonna get him to a hospital bed, because he's visibly in pain. So he couldn't walk himself, and they put him in one of those wheelchairs and started transferring him to the hospital bed.
He was sleeping basically for the whole day, and so he'll be laying down, sleeping, snoring, like, and then immediately he'll very sharply wake up and be like, where's the doctor? What did the doctor say? And I'll go, okay. And then he'll immediately fall back asleep and back to snoring. It's really funny.
Laying down there for 10 minutes while I was signaling for people to come and help him, and like, what's going on? But he was visibly shaking a lot. He said that he was not cold, but he was shaking, so yeah. Also, one part I missed is that when they brought him to put him on the bed, he did actually pass out. He said, I'm losing consciousness, and then his head like slumped over, and he was asleep. So the doctor was like, oh, I guess he's out. Other thing the doctors might think happened is that it was just his body's natural reaction to all the pain. It was just too much, so it like shut down on him. I'm not sure. They brought him an IV, they hooked him up to it, and the shaking seemed to go away, and he fell asleep fine. So after he fell asleep, I left the room, went to the bathroom, chatted with the doctor's son. They were asking, who's this American? How are you related to him? What's going on? So for like half an hour, we just sat around and talked while Joe was sleeping and recovering, and talking about our move and the reasons I'm over here. So it was a pretty interesting conversation.
There's the hospital where I just was overnight, and looks like a nice building, I'd say. And yeah, I was starting to get uncomfortable again in the hospital, and we weren't sure if I was going to leave, but the pain got worse. And they put me in a wheelchair, and I think I started to have another allergic reaction. I was kind of in a fog, so I don't know exactly. But I remember my throat was closing. I was starting to lose my vision. And so they ran me down the hall in a wheelchair and put me in the room with the bed that you saw, and gave me something else. And I was all pink and shivering. And then it slowly went away. And then from then on, I was in and out of sleep. But I had noticed the sun was already coming up because we're getting into summertime. And we have no shirt mics, no selfie stick, no equipment, because this wasn't planned.
I actually almost packed a selfie stick, but decided not to.
At about 12 p.m., I decided that I'm falling asleep. I can't sit in this chair anymore. Joe's asleep. He doesn't seem to be suffering anymore, so maybe somebody should come take his place. So I called Aurora, and then at 1 p.m. she came to replace me.
And at some point, in and out of my sleep, Aurora took Alex's place because he was too tired and had to go home and go to bed. And I forgot my jacket. I was grabbing it as we were getting on the ambulance, and I stopped in the bathroom and left it in the bathroom. But luckily, it's not that cold. I feel all right.
I brought you along some shirts. It's actually cold.
Aurora ordered us a taxi. And in case you're wondering, I would say the ambulance staff and the hospital staff, they were either nice or they were very serious. They were just doing their job and they were on their mission. No one was mean to me. So I'd say that was similar to my experience in America, where the staff was all nice or they were just serious and doing their job. And in America, I had like the most expensive health insurance, so I was going to the nicer hospitals and whatnot. Whereas this one, I'm understanding it's just like a typical hospital in Russia. So what did they say was wrong with me, Aurora?
They said that you have an infection, probably, but that specific doctor was not an infectionist. He was a surgeon, so it's just not a specialty. So he recommended that tomorrow you go see a doctor that specializes in infections, and that you drink no water, you only drink water, and you eat no food for the next day. And tomorrow you can have a little bit of soup. And if you start feeling sick again tonight, then you should call an ambulance, and go back to the hospital.
I just realized this giant red thing I always see on the horizon is a bridge. It's part of the bridge. I don't do a lot of in the car filming because I feel like everyone drives in a car, and a car is boring. Anyway, yesterday, you look fine. Anyway, yesterday I felt like I was gonna die, and now I feel fine. Why? I don't know. But somehow my body got over it. I wouldn't say I feel fine. I don't feel like I'm gonna die. I'm definitely messed up, sore and tired, and I've got holes in my body from needles. But I can't eat I can only drink, but I'm grateful that I'm not in agony.
And I woke up at midday the next day, and I walked out into the living room, and there was Joe sitting at his computer, dressed, working, fully functioning, which was kind of startling because I thought he was still like dying in the hospital. But no, I guess the day that Aurora replaced me, that afternoon, he got let out of the hospital and he came home and he was fine. Now that day I couldn't even tell that he was sick, other than the fact that he was drinking chicken broth out of a beer mug.
It is the next day after my return from the hospital. Wanted to let you know I'm feeling better. I forgot to tell you they did give me a CAT scan when I was there. That's the giant donut that they float you through and scan your whole body. We have a long list of my vital signs and whatnot that we can read to find out what may or may not be wrong with me. Yesterday was water only day. Today is chicken broth only day. And the real test will be tomorrow when I'm back on normal food, because we still don't really know yet what happened, and maybe I'm not well. Maybe once I start eating again, I'll feel bad. But if you're watching this video, that means I'm alive because I was able to edit and post it for you. Unless Aurora did it for me.
It turned out that apparently it was just a virus. They thought it was several things. Pancreatitis was one of them. I have no idea what that is, but I looked it up, and apparently it can be a pretty bad thing if it gets onto the later stages or something like that. But no, just a virus, which was surprising. because that's a lot of pain and stuff to go through for this thing just to like go away immediately.
It has been 2.5 days since I've eaten any food, and today is carbohydrate only day. So I'm gonna eat this now. This is grechka and baranki. It looks yummier than it is. It's a pretty firm white bread roll. And this is my carb only day. So I'm gonna eat, and in about 3 hours, we'll see if I'm okay or not. But for you, it'll be about 3 seconds. All right, it has been more than 3 hours picking up my youngest from school here. Max, good day to you. And my stomach and intestines feel fine. So it looks like I have survived. Эта школа? Хорошо, смотри мой палец. It's my bad fingernails falling off. I finally need to call another ambulance. Yes, that's your schoolwork. Very good. There you have it. How was it? What do you think of my first ever Russian hospital experience? I certainly said all my prayers that I felt I needed to say while the condition was unresolved. And all in all, I'm glad it happened, because I had wondered while I was living here, I'm enjoying myself, but what happens when I have a medical emergency? How odd will it be for me to go to a hospital that for me is foreign? And now I've had it, and I can say that the situation was definitely similar to what I'm used to from my home country. And I confirmed that what I would spend in America, of course, would be thousands of dollars. And what the cost was here for the ambulance ride and the hospital stay was between 0 rubles and $0. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Click like, subscribe, ring the bell notification, interrupt my speech, and send this to your friends. Click the box to see what happens next. And now I'm off to film my next adventure. One last thing, I want to give a shout out to Michelle Silby. She is our first top tier Patreon subscriber and Patreon member, which means I get to mention her at the end of the show and put her name in the credits, and we appreciate her so much. The first level tier Patreon member is you get to see the deleted scenes. Second tier, the deleted scenes, and I'll put your name on the screen. And third tier, all that plus I'll mention your name. Anyway, thanks for watching.
I guess that's just, that's my side of the story. Shared all the highlights, I guess, the things that seem to stick out to me. So that's it. Bye.
I'll confirm it, but I'm pretty sure. Anyway, what'd you think? You ready? You keep moving and stuff.